Hello, and welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What Am I Thinking? A podcast where two sisters share uplifting conversations on fun and sometimes serious topics.
Join us each week by clicking the notification bell and subscribing to our channel. If you enjoy the show, use the share link. It's one of the best ways to expand the conversation.
Hello, and welcome back to the W.A.I.T channel. What am I thinking? Today, we're going to talk about our guilty pleasure, the Housewives franchise, specifically New Jersey. And if we have enough time, we're going to throw in the New York franchise of the Housewives. So, Tracy, what are you thinking about New Jersey?
So, since this is our first time talking about New Jersey, let's give a little history. So, New Jersey is the franchise that has been through a bit of a upheaval. They've had one of their, the only original Jersey housewives that's on there is Teresa Giudice. And you guys may remember that she and her husband had some legal issues, and both of them at separate times served time. Teresa, when she got out, her mom passed not long after she got out. And then while Joe was serving his time, I want to say her dad passed, and then her husband was deported, and they ultimately got divorced, and she's in a new relationship, newly engaged. It doesn't show her being engaged yet on the show, but in a new relationship for at least a year. And she has been a controversial person, to say the least. And her sister-in-law and brother are on the show. They joined like maybe season 3 or 4, something like that. And they were not in a good place as a family. Barely in a good place now. And the other surrounding cast would be Dolores, who's a longtime family friend of Teresa and her brother Joe. And then there is Jennifer Aiden, who her husband is a plastic surgeon. And this is, I want to say, season 3 for her, as well as Jackie. I want to say this is her and Jennifer came in the same time. And then we have Margaret Josephs, who she came before Jackie and Jennifer, but she came about the same time Dolores did, maybe one season after Dolores. So in any case, those are our team players. Well, we can't forget the sister-in-law, Melissa Gorga. So Teresa is either you love her or you don't care for her that much. She is the type of person who is going to stay with what she thinks, regardless of what the facts show. The only time I have seen her change it up is when there was video footage with audio to show that she was wrong. She's a very hard person to get her to change her mind. She's one of those people, and I think you've said this, Lori. Something will happen. It may go over her head in the moment, but once she gets it, it could be 5 weeks later. But once she has her aha moment, she's ready to bring it back up, rehash it, relive it as if it happened yesterday. Even if you thought you guys had moved past it. Mm-hmm. So that is her. So in the climate that we're in with New Jersey, her new man, in the world of social media, there's a lot of questionable things coming out about him. So something else to note is last season, Teresa chose to share a rumor about Jackie's husband. So I think it's one more back detail. Teresa and Jackie did not get along out the gate. Jackie is outspoken, and her and Melissa, the sister-in-law of Teresa, have gotten kind of close. Partly because Jackie's one of the few people that stood up to Teresa and defended Melissa. So Jackie made a comment, something about Teresa was trying to tell Melissa that she can control her husband Joe and tell him what to do, and you can be able to whatever. And she was like, it's the wife who turns the neck of the husband to make him do what she wants to do. And Jackie famously said, so if you could have controlled your husband, would you have ended up in jail or something along those lines? And for Teresa, that crossed the lines. That was off limits. Shouldn't have said it. And they have not been great since. And so when Teresa found an opportunity at Jackie's husband's birthday party to share, I've heard that that Evan has been cheating at the gym, or whatever the rumor was. She is going around to the other women, not to Jackie, not to the husband, but to some of the other women at the party, saying, did you hear this? I heard this at the man's own birthday party. And she has justified this as her being a girl's girl. On what planet, Lori? On what planet is that a girl's girl?
I've had to literally, because I try my best, I try not to say negative things about these women, which is the reason, as you spoke about her and gave the history lesson on Teresa Giudice. It's not Giudice, Gorga.
No, Gorga is the sister.
It is Giudice. Okay,
yeah,
all right. Okay.
That's her married name. She hasn't changed it.
And see, I even erased her out of my head. I sat quiet because there are no words.
She's a lot.
There are no words for her. So, like you said, a girl's girl? Okay, so I'm going to be a girl's girl for you. Mm-hmm. So, same situation. Mm-hmm. Somebody hears something about her new man. However,
and with the exception with this is her rumor about Evan, we never really heard where she heard it, who told her. They're trying to throw Margaret on the bus and say she said it, which I know that's not true. The stuff about her man, all over the internet. Things people can literally see. So not something made up. This is something that they can see out there. And guess what? If she chooses, which she says she hasn't, she can see it too.
She can see it for herself.
So this is not some mysterious rumor that we don't know how it started. It's on the internet. Okay.
So, right. So someone comes to her in the same way, carrying information, being a girl's girl, mm-hmm. and it's like someone took a match to a stick of dynamite. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone's trying to burst her love bubble.
Right.
She can't reflect on what she did to Evan was the exact same thing. And like you said,
worse.
The difference is this information that was taken to her is already out there. It wasn't manufactured.
Right. And the thing is, if she really thought about it, they were doing her a favor by bringing it up on the show so she could frame the narrative herself.
Right.
But when you get so that can't talk about it, you don't have to talk about it. It'd be different if this was something that they just knew on the cast, like the affair that Jennifer's husband had, which we'll talk about in a minute. This is something that's out there. So they're saying, here, you and Louis give the narrative and the framework. And when he got the opportunity, he definitely reframed it, except he reframed it in a way that was hard to believe. So it's like when you reframe it, try to reframe it in truth. that is not, that the video doesn't, contradict. So, you kind of dropped the ball a little, Louis, but that was what they were doing.
Yeah.
And she saw it as malice and manipulative, and it's like, no, they want you to be able to give the narrative. They're not even trying to speak on it. They want you to speak on it, so you can say whatever it is you want to say. And guess what? Then we close the book on it, and it's over. But you are the one dragging it out, continuing to make an issue of it. So that's a problem for me.
It reminds me of something her husband Joe said while I think they were in Italy.
Okay.
And he was talking on the phone to someone. He didn't know he was mic'd. And she was going off about something, and he told the person on the phone, he called her some choice 4 and 5-letter words. My crazy wife. There's some truth to that, because I think there's a word that starts with an N, A, R.
Yeah, very much could be. She could be checking that box.
Something is wrong in that wheelhouse. It really is. It's something wrong. And when you are trying to share information with someone who does not possess all of the necessary capabilities to process information, that's her.
Yeah. And that's why it can be 5 weeks later when she does have her aha moment about situations, because in the moment, it's not registering.
And the thing about all this that really saddened me, because, this has just been a season for her, and there's so much to unbox with her. But after the event, the trust event, where she goes off on everybody, all right, and then you come in the next day and you're wanting people to wear your swag, wear your exercise line. After you've told me off, you're going to give me a bag, wear it. And then the person that she gives the bag to, Margaret, no, I'm good, I'm fine. Then Teresa's daughter, she has supported you. My concern for her daughters is that they do appear to be very smart girls, more so than mommy. They are enabling her behavior.
Right. I've seen Gia hold her accountable.
Yes.
But the side of what I would venture to say, if you could watch the season and not see her as your mom, but see her as just another housewife, your take on things will be different, because you're getting a one-sided take on things when you're not present. So in that moment, you're seeing Margaret and her response, but you didn't see the way your mom really was with her. You didn't really see what Margaret was trying to do weeks ago when she mentioned the stuff about Louis. And in the same vein, like they said, she was so mad that Tiki questioned Louis, and she wanted to put it all on Tracy. But when Tiki comes, you're doing the playful, fun little thing with Tiki when he's the one that asked.
He's the one that asked.
He's the one that had the problem with what he had saw.
Right.
The wife didn't say anything.
Which is what his wife said.
So it's one of those things, if you're going to check the box of being this person, then try to be consistent with the way your venom will kind of get this, it comes out on individuals.
But unfortunately with her, that's not the way she operates. Yeah. She doesn't operate. Yeah. And then that takes us to the other Jennifer. When you should not throw rocks at a glass house.
Right. She definitely did that.
And when you are on a show,
I almost think she convinced herself that it didn't happen, because it was hard for me to fathom, this happens, you're pregnant, you choose to stay, and you guys never talk about it.
So first,
again.
because we just intimated that there was an indiscretion, but go into a little more detail about what her husband actually did.
So while she was pregnant, her husband engaged in an affair with, as she clarified to Margaret, it was a pharmaceutical rep.
As if that's a really important point that you missed.
Not the office manager who was the pharmaceutical rep. And my thing about that, so a season or two ago, Margaret said something because Jennifer said, oh, he goes to the pool house with his girlfriend or something. That's what Jennifer said when she was showing them the house. And Margaret said when she got in a moment of anger, that's why Bill is, with his girlfriend in the, I don't know if she said pool house or whatever. And Jennifer flips out and Margaret immediately apologizes for it and says, I'm sorry, he's not cheating on you or whatever. However, we now know that Margaret and others already knew that this incident had happened over 10 years ago.
And if you get the opportunity, go back on the Bravo channel or review that incident because it was an overreaction. And hindsight is 2020 because in the moment I'm thinking she had too much tequila because what's being said at this table doesn't rise to the level of your anger.
Especially when you are the one that joked about it.
Right.
You are the one that joked about it. So, so that happens and since that time, Jennifer has literally dragged Margaret and her mother because they both have had affairs.
Horribly dragged them.
Horribly dragged her and her mother, made her feel like less than a person because of this mistake. However, you're going home every night to a person who has done this thing to you.
Same thing. Right.
This person you hold up in such high esteem. So Margaret finally kind of had it and she called her out on it and said, you are being a hypocrite, basically. And when she says this, I have said that Jennifer, I believe at an unconscious level, she wanted it to come out because you denied it on that trip in Mexico. What would have stopped you from denying it again?
Or walking away, not even engaging
or not?
her.
Yes, you did not have to validate that comment that Margaret said, and Margaret would have been left holding the bag, either trying to prove it, which I don't think she would have done.
No,
she would have let it go, but you didn't have to. So there was a part of you that wanted this to come out.
I think with her, you never know what's going on with those private conversations when the camera's not rolling.
True.
I do believe that, and Bill has demonstrated, it is not a conversation he wants to have, nor will he talk about it, won't even go to therapy about it. I think over time with her, you have this facade, this picture that you have painted of this perfect family. Inwardly, it's not, and yet you're working very. She described it how when they got married, how I got to work hard, I got to make him happy, and you're just doing this and doing this. You're on stage, the camera is rolling. Unbeknownst to you, your pain is slowly rising to the top, and on that day,
saturation.
I think it seeped out, and when it seeped out, you could see in her eyes the shock. Did I just say that?
Yeah. So we have all that happen. We know that the affair happened. And so then you have the camps of those who are like, Margaret, you're so horrible for doing that. And then you have the camp of, how could she have dragged you knowing this truth came out, So Teresa falls on the side of Jennifer because she's not trying to be happy with Margaret anyway, because of the Louis stuff.
And right now, Jennifer's the only one who, without fail and uncompromising 100%. On her side.
Dolores is quiet on it. She's not really saying anything one way or the other about Louis.
Her husband did the same thing
to her, while she's pregnant, so she can relate to what Jen is feeling. So the thing that comes out in the way things are handled is basically Margaret and Jennifer find a way to make peace and make up. So you don't have to have these two camps. Well, so we thought. Because Teresa comes to this trust building event that's supposed to be helping the friendship events that Tracy puts on. Friend of the show, Tracy. And
after she has had a day or two to ruminate,
she comes in hot with gift bags, mind you. But she comes in hot. She's not participating in the trust event. She's throwing digs left and right at Tracy and Margaret. And even though Jennifer and Margaret have made up, she's bringing it back up. What are y'all talking about? She was wrong. And she just wants any opportunity that she can. So her and Margaret have it out. And Margaret is not a back down to Teresa. She doesn't back down, which a lot of them end up just kind of, even if they don't back down, they just like, it's not, an argument is not going to go anywhere. So they just kind of know how to let it go. Well, Margaret's not letting it go. Mm-hmm. She's going to stand her ground. And Teresa storms off and leaves. And then they have this charity event, softball game. And, Teresa is in her mind thinking that the women should all wear her workout bottoms with this because she's going to be selling them and giving I would like to know the percentage that was going to the charity. That would have been interesting to know. But a couple of the women chose not to. Her sister-in-law wore it because she's like, I ain't got time for this drama. Dolores wasn't going to wear it because she said the pants were too heavy and it was hot. But she sucked it up and put them on, and Jennifer wore hers. So that left Jackie and Margaret as the only two, and Tracy. Yeah, I don't think Tracy wore them, so she didn't wear them. So, and of course, she's in her feelings about that as well. But Margaret said something that to be in a friendship with Teresa is not a friendship, it's a dictatorship. Mm. And that was very telling. And they did a little poll on Watch What Happens Live, and it was pretty much saying, yeah, that's the way it is. And I want to believe, one other thing. Basically, it came out, because I thought it was going to be a thing where Teresa was going to have to watch the footage, but the whole thing about Teresa being the one who told Jennifer to make the call to the Serena person about the Evan affair to dig up dirt. Did you see that part? So remember at the makeup with Jennifer and Margaret, and Margaret says, well, you were digging for dirt on Evan. And she was like, and that wasn't cool. And she was like, and Teresa didn't do that. And she was like, how do you know Teresa didn't dig? Mm-hmm. And Margaret was like, huh? And she was like, how do you know Teresa didn't dig? And she was like, so are you telling me that Teresa didn't? She was like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, you don't know that Teresa didn't dig. And so then it comes up again when they're out there on the trust thing where Margaret says, and Teresa, you're the one that told her to call. And Jennifer is like, well, you remember you called that day, but it's okay. And, so even
as she said, I take responsibility for
I actually did it. Yes. Right. So in my mind, I'm wondering if it doesn't seem like Teresa took it as a, like she threw her under the bus.
It wasn't a betrayal to her in that moment. Because first off, I promise you, she didn't process that information.
I said it, I'm wondering what it's going to be like at the reunion for them. Because when she sees the footage of everything of the way Jennifer did that, she might feel some kind of way. Because they've been going out on couples dates and doing stuff. So I don't know, do you need that ally enough to let it go?
She needs
and forgive her? Or are you going to stew about it and be like, she kind of did throw me under the bus? So that's going to be interesting to see.
On Girls Trip, King had said something during one of her confessionals, and it basically was, you have two people trying to act as if they love each other because they're family. But the truth is, Teresa does not like her sister-in-law.
No, she doesn't. And there's nothing Melissa is going to do.
Never.
She could, I tell you what, I take that back. If she becomes a puppet yes person in Teresa's life. So, that's not who Melissa is, so that's not going to happen. But that's the type of sister-in-law that she could say yes to. And that's why they haven't gotten along, is because
she's not going to do
that. She
that.
has an opinion.
Right.
She has thought
Right.
processes. She's not going to just agree and go along with whatever. And neither does Joe, which is why some things are rocky, because she's of a mindset, once I think a certain way or believe a certain way, that's it.
You have to be on board. You have to believe her narrative. You have to support her. And it's not about family is family. No, it is Teresa's rules are Teresa's rules, and you have to play by my rules.
Exactly. It's after the fact that she will reciprocate for family stuff, because it's no way because that's kind of why she is mad at Melissa too, because Jackie has stood up to her. She hasn't been as ruthless as Jennifer has been to Joe and Melissa, but she said some things. But Jackie also will apologize and take ownership. But Teresa don't like that Melissa is friends with Jackie. Well, guess what? Melissa don't like that you probably friends with Jennifer because of the stuff that she's done.
And when that was put to her, you could see in her eyes, she does not process data. All she says is, yeah.
She's a feeling and emotions person. It's feelings and emotions. It's not insightful, impactful kind of. That part comes way later for her, if it comes. So that is the New Jersey Housewives. It is a lot. If you haven't been a part of the series, go ahead and do a binge. You will, for the people that are on today, to when it started, Teresa will be the only familiar face, but she has been on a journey with this franchise. And when you said about her, it has to be her way, except when she was married to Joe Giudice, because Joe's strong personality would usurp hers to a degree. However, I think she had those things that were her tipping point. These are the things that matter to me. You do these things, and I'll do everything you need to do over here. But I think that's kind of what got them in trouble.
That's what I mean. When you said that, I thought about when they got the house.
Yes.
And he gave her the roll of cash.
Yes.
And she went out, and he knew,
that
if
was
I give her
pressure.
this, that's all. Right.
That's kind of what got them in trouble, is the need to meet these standards of a lifestyle. She's not getting a prenup with Louis. It doesn't sound like, which I wish she would rethink that. If nothing else, but put some trust in place to protect her daughters and that income. So I'm fine with no prenup, but at least put some trust in place so that your daughters and you have had to rebuild, and you've successfully done that. So make sure you secure that future for your daughters. You have one that is an adult. The other three are not there yet. So make sure their future is secured. But I wish her and Louis the best.
Absolutely.
She deserves this love, and I pray that this is the real deal. But I also am just as happy and hopeful for each of them. And that's one thing. The men on this show have a really great role, and I hate that we didn't get into David and Dolores's relationship at all. We'll have to kind of maybe do another New Jersey, and at that time we'll know more about the New York as well, with what we've heard about that. I'm sure you guys may have seen that there's going to be a reboot and a recasting going on for the New York Housewives, and we don't have time to get into that today. But we will do another take on New Jersey and do follow-up on New York. So thank you for tuning in to the W.A.I.T channel. Once again, subscribe, put reminders in. Know that we are here to share what we are thinking, and we would love to know what you're thinking. So you can make a comment, you can like, but whatever you do, keep listening.